Welcome to the May meeting of the Claremont, or rather the Anderson Township Zoning Commission. Sorry, I just left work. This is the Anderson Township Zoning Commission, Monday, May 18th. We have 3 items on the agenda tonight. The first is approval of the agenda. So if I can, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the exception of the minutes, that we don't have enough members here.
So we don't have the proper folks here. Okay, thank you, Ms. Cook. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. DiBraggio.
DiBaggio.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we will not have minutes tonight. Thank you. The third item on the agenda, now the second, is a public hearing and final development plan review for case 4-2014 FDP filed by Dave Osterday with KZF Design on behalf of the Kroger Company. Tonight, this is a public hearing, and we're going to go ahead and proceed this, or process this meeting in a quasi-judicial manner, which simply means that in order for this case to be processed properly, we're going to swear in anyone that will provide testimony tonight. So as we go through the process and we get into the proponent and opponent testimony, it'll be important that you be sworn in before you present. That also gives the applicant a chance to cross-examine that person that might make a comment during the hearing. Anything else, Paul? Okay. So I think maybe just to make this simple, we'll go ahead and swear everybody in at this time. If anyone else enters and decides they want to speak, we'll swear them in as we get to that part of the case, but maybe we can do this real quickly. So if anybody here intends to come to the podium tonight and present, if you'll please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. With that, we'll begin this public hearing with the staff report. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you. As Mr. Chairman stated, the applicant is David Osterday, who is the project manager with KZF Design, who is representing Kroger Company, the property owner. The location is at 7580 Beachmont Avenue, and the zoning there is EE, which is planned retail. And this is a final development plan request, a phase 2, and what that means is the zone change was approved by the trustees on December 18, 2014. Phase 1 was the expansion of the existing building and parking area. That was approved by the Zoning Commission on February 23, 2015. Phase 2 is the corner of Wolf Angle and Beachmont. So and a couple of variances are being requested. So as well as the final development plan. So that is the role of the Zoning Commission tonight, is to review the final development plan proposal and to ensure its consistency with what was presented during the zone change process. And the zoning map has not been updated, so bear with me. This is Bowen, and then this is Wolf Angle here. This area here in yellow has been rezoned, so the entire property is now zoned EE, which is planned retail. I'm sorry, let me get my mouse. I knew I was forgetting something. But we're going to have this issue. Okay, this will be better. So this is the existing Kroger building here, and the phase 1 expansion was to the east of the existing building. This is Town Center Way and then Beachmont Avenue. The entire property is currently zoned EE, which is planned retail. This is the aerial of the site in question. And phase 2 is this corner up at Beachmont and Wolf Angle. Again, this was the final development plan that was for phase 1 that was approved by the Zoning Commission. And again, at the time when this was presented, the phase 2 was just presented very conceptually. in the corner. This is the site plan for Phase 2, which consists of 2 retail buildings. And also, if you're following along with the staff report, in the findings, compliance with approving resolutions, there were 2 resolutions, one from Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission and the second from the trustees. The conditions were noted, and in parentheses it's noted as compliant or non-compliant. So during the Phase 1 final development plan, most of these conditions were addressed at that time. So as part of this presentation tonight, we've only we'll address 3 of the conditions that weren't addressed that were more relevant to Phase 2. So in the staff report, it lists out all the conditions, and we'll skip to just the 3 that are most relevant for Phase 2. But with the proposal for the 2 standalone buildings, this one approximately let me get my bearings here. Approximately 6,000 square feet. The second building, approximately 12,000 square feet, with a total of approximately 18,500 square feet in 2 separate buildings. This one would mostly be a standalone retail restaurant use. This building here would have multiple tenants, most likely 2 restaurants on the end caps with retail tenants on the inside. The buildings both have double frontages, primarily oriented toward the parking lot, but also having frontage on Beachmont Avenue as well, and associated parking. There are 2 plazas affiliated with this development, one on the parking lot side of the building and then one on the Beachmont Avenue side of the building. There is, these are steps, so the plaza area on the corner is not at street level, is proposed to be sunken due to the elevation change. So that's what, it's hard to see in the black and white photo, but these represent steps that are going down from Beachmont Avenue, the sidewalks on Beachmont Avenue to the plaza area. There's proposed pedestrian connections throughout from the sidewalks along both street frontages to the buildings themselves. There is a proposal for outdoor seating area on both buildings, on the end caps as well as on the parking lot side of the building and on both buildings. And the elevation drawings this is the topography map just to help to explain the difference in elevation. The landscape plan, again, screening around the dumpster enclosures, which evergreen screening and landscaping, street trees along the roadways on both sides of the parking lot, and the plan itself meets or exceeds the minimum landscaping requirements of the zoning requirements. This is again, this is hard to see on the screen, but this is the photometric plan, the lighting plan that was submitted. This area of the plan, particularly on this side, is not compliant, and you'll see that in the staff report. So these are the elevation drawings of all different directions. Again, in black and white, it's a little more difficult, so let me just get straight to the color photos. So again, sidewalks are up at the street. There's a proposed grade change, so there are steps down into the plaza area. There's a handicap accessible ramp on the Wolf Angle side. This would be Wolf Angle, and this would be Beachmont Avenue. There is a proposed building frontage on, or the appearance of a front on these buildings on the end caps for Beachmont Avenue on both buildings. And outdoor seating on the streets on Beachmont, as well as outdoor seating that opens up to the plaza area for the restaurant. It's a little difficult to see, but this is a proposed screen wall, and then there's a utility corridor between the screen wall and the actual building for the back of house operations of these buildings. So you would have, this would be your utility, your utility boxes would be on this side of the building, and this would also be the utility corridor to take out the trash and that sort of thing to the dumpster. The goal here was to hide that with the screen wall, but then also to soften the screen wall from the street by providing some outdoor seating areas or pocket parks that would be accessible from the sidewalk on Beachmont Avenue. Again, the screen wall is not the entire length of the building, but it is the middle portion of the building, so that the end corners of the building would still have a front appearance on Beachmont Avenue. Again, this would be the view if you were standing in the middle of the intersection looking back at the buildings. Again, the front appearance on Wolf Angle and on Beachmont. The buildings themselves do not have a true second story, although they do have a second story appearance. The height to the midpoint of the roof is about 35 feet. But keep in mind also that the buildings won't be built necessarily at grade with the roads. So there will be a slight elevation change from where the buildings start to the road itself. And this is a view from the parking lot, looking back at the parking lot. There is a pull-off area for short-term parking, 15-minute parking, which is this area here where the pavers are. That would also double for deliveries, short-term deliveries. And then, again, 2 park areas, and I'll let the applicant speak to the function of the parks themselves, or the plaza areas. So the 3 conditions that are applicable to Phase 2, and again, these were ordered as they were on the resolution. So number 4 is that the lighting plan shall be compliant, and it is not. The foot candles on the Wolf Angle side are too high, and they exceed the maximum allowed at the property line, so those will need to be adjusted. And the lighting plan itself did not have the heights of the poles, but that has since been corrected. It's not in your, so we do not anticipate that the lighting plan will be an issue, that they should be able to bring that into compliance. Number 8, again, talks about the consistency of this development with the downtown plan. And we have more discussion on that in just one second. Number 10, then the corner sign at Wolf Angle and Beachmont shall coordinate with the Anderson Town Center signage. It has not been designed, but you did see it in the elevation drawing, that it is consistent in design. So once that is submitted for permits, that would be the appropriate time to evaluate to make sure that that is consistent with what was the Town Center signage. So again, back to the corner. The proposed buildings contain 18,560 square feet of retail, and this is combined, and 2 pedestrian plazas. The pedestrian plazas are 4,800 and 6,800 square feet respectively, so a total of 11,600 square feet. This is compatible with what is slightly smaller than what was recommended downtown plan, but it is still consistent with the overall intent of those plazas. As far as the building itself, the one on Beachmont Avenue is 12,490 square feet, and that's comparable to the building across the street. To give you a visual, the Beachmont Retail Center across the street, Izzy's, First Watch. That building itself is 11,200 square feet. So to put it in perspective, what is proposed is slightly larger than across the street, but to give you a visual of what that would be in square footage. Again, the plaza size, the downtown plan recommended 14,000 square feet, and the proposed plaza was 11,600 square feet. So slightly larger, or slightly smaller, although still somewhat compatible with what was recommended. There are variances being requested for the front yard setbacks of the buildings. Again, the building on Beachmont Avenue, the building itself is set back right at 10 feet from the right-of-way, but the outdoor seating area is up to the right-of-way. And if they are enclosed seating areas, we have always interpreted that to be part of the structure, and it needs to meet the actual requirement of the setback of the building. So they are requesting a 0-foot setback on Beachmont Avenue, and this is primarily, again, for that outdoor seating area. The building itself is 10 feet from the right-of-way. And then on Wolf Angle, the building is set back just under 9 feet from the right-of-way. This, again, is consistent with the recommendations of our plans, which call for the buildings to be set back closer to the street versus the 30 feet. And again, other recommendations from the downtown plan orient the buildings toward the street. which they have, or we feel like they have in this situation. And again, trying to offset the utility corridor and the back of house operations when you have a double frontage building. They have their front door on the parking lot side because parking is not allowed on Beachmont Avenue. In a true downtown situation, you would have parking on the street, which we're not there yet. We might one day be there, but we're not there yet. So they're trying to accomplish somewhat of a suburban development, but put it into downtown areas. So we felt that they were consistent and that the plan itself was consistent with the township adopted plans. There are varied architectural elements, both in the roof and the facades. It does accommodate pedestrian and bicycles, not only from the street, but also with the Anderson Town Center. So these are the two variances that they're requesting. One is from Section 104.1, which requires a front yard setback of 30 feet, and they are requesting 0 on Beachmont and 8 feet 11 inches on Wolfangle. And then Section 144 requires the dumpsters be outside the front yard setback of 30 feet. They are proposing 10 feet from the right-of-way. And staff is supportive of the variances for these reasons. The setbacks of the buildings are consistent with the downtown plan. And then as far as the dumpsters go, they are being screened heavily from the right-of-way, so we feel that their locations are probably the best locations for accessibility of the restaurants and their utility corridors, so we're supportive of both. Staff's recommending approval with the following conditions: that the west parking lot be redesigned, and this is the parking lot off of Beachmont, right as you come in off of Beachmont Avenue. And we have discussed this with the applicant, and they are working on a design to rework those spaces. The lighting plan, again, to be resubmitted in compliance, and I don't think that is an issue either. The gravel area on the east side of Wolfangle next to Valvoline, this was just not included on the landscape plan at all, so hopefully that's not an issue. And then number 4, revised set, just the standard condition that this be resubmitted to incorporate any conditions that the zoning commission may have. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, at this time, we'll allow the zoning commission to ask any questions of staff you might have. We'll start down the end.
No, don't have any questions.
Nope. Sir?
Paul, can you just explain what you're wanting to see for the parking lot, the 43 spaces, what you'd like to see as far as the redesign there?
It's probably easiest to see on this plan itself. This is the main entrance off of Beachmont Avenue, and this would be one of the main driveways through the parking lot to reach out to Bowen, or what will become Town Center Way. This area in particular, there will be a stop sign. A stop sign is proposed here, a stop sign is proposed here, and this will be continuous traffic coming in off of Beachmont Avenue. Well, entering and leaving this particular access point would be extremely difficult. If you were backing up and trying to turn left, you wouldn't be able to see cars coming in. There's a stop sign right there. So really just the elimination of this access point, if not this access point, to allow for access as far away from the intersection as possible.
That's good. Anything else?
No other questions?
Okay, I have no questions. Next, we're going to go ahead and have the applicant present. When you come to the podium, please state your name and your address, and welcome, sir.
Good evening. Scott Sendis. I'm with KZF Design representing Kroger Real Estate. Address is 700 Broadway Street, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202. Not too much to add. Paul does a great job of putting it on. I know there's a couple questions about the plazas and how that all work together. We could provide a little additional information if you'd like to hear on. We have the 2 main plazas as indicated. The primary plaza is the one at the corner of Wolfangle and Beachmont. The concept behind that plaza was to be one of an entertainment plaza, very public in nature, not a specific use. It's a place that just people come and stay. It's not, we didn't want to make it feel like you were going into somebody else's front yard when you were there. It was everybody's front yard. We also wanted to make sure that it had a lot of energy to it, especially in the evenings. So The way we presented our retail elevations with a lot of glass, hopefully a lot of light popping through from those folks. It creates, even in the evenings when the light levels are generally low in the plaza, you see that activity behind the glass, hopefully, to get your interest over there. We've set it up into a couple zones even in that plaza. There are the private areas that would be more or less sort of controlled by the anticipated restaurant tenants. So they'd be fenced in a little bit and have their own sort of umbrellas that match their decor and things like that. However, we did also wanted to present situations where people who weren't eating at those restaurants could also enjoy sitting outside. Maybe they're having a yogurt from somewhere, or, you know, doing whatever. So we also have out in the plaza area, we've done some things with the concrete where we'll change some color to create sort of almost like throw rugs in a living room, if you will, kind of concept, to break the scale down so it's not just a big open concrete plaza. It's got some color and texture to it. We'll have seating out there as well that would be for general, anybody who wants to just come and sit there and talk on their phone or put their laptop up or watch their kids play. On the hard corner there, we've got a kind of a presentation platform is what we wanted to present. And not knowing what might happen there, we tried to keep as flexible as we could. So we tried to create an area that was large enough to put, you know, a small band. Possibly you're not going to get the symphony up there or anything like that, but you can get a 7, 8, 10 person band on there. You could do, we've seen magic acts, things like that happen at these things for the kids. But also when there's nothing happening on there, it's not something that looks empty and alone. We wanted to keep it visually open from that side. So as Paul mentioned, we have steps that lead down into the pit, if you will. It's hard to a good thing to call it a pit, but we've done low riser stairs that go down that are maybe 4-inch steps, but with long treads, so they're very comfortable to walk down. It's not like walking downstairs. It's kind of feeling your way down the wall. You can sit on them, you can lay back on them, you can do a lot of things that are very flexible. And those go around the wolf angle side, around the front side of the stage, so even if you did some sort of a choral presentation, you know, you could use them almost like risers, from thinking for the holidays, doing some caroling or something like that. As it extends along Beachmont, again, it continues up until it gets to the building. On the Beachmont side, we've also done a little bit more because there's a lot of traffic there, and there are some concerns with, you know, cars and people can be, you know, things happen with cars. So we've done some landscape pedestals there that will have some low plantings in them along there's 5 of them along that side. Again, keeps the visual flow across there open, but also protects folks for a stray car maybe gets away, God forbid something like that happens, but it can. As we continue west down Beachmont, we do continue the restaurant captive seating areas around that corner. But as you move to the west, as Paul mentioned, we've got our utilities along the back there, utility corridor. So we wanted to create some scale going up as you went back toward the building. So we have a wall that's somewhere, depending on where the grade is, 10, 12 feet, 11 feet high. And along that wall, the idea was, rather than just having a plain wall, we wanted to break it up in a couple of ways. One was softening it up with landscaping, which we've kind of done in different spots, and as Paul mentioned, these pocket parks. The concept with the pocket parks are, there'll be some fixed seating there, but the idea was to create some visual interest, create presentation spaces for some public art. Now, the public art can come from a lot of different places, but the idea would be there's some sort of sculptural piece. There's a mounting system that we'll have in place for that they would, you know, whoever wants to do that and present, they would get the specifications, say, hey, build it on this, and we'll be able to bolt it in place so nothing happens to it. But it'll be something out there, and it can be something that can be, we've talked with the Kroger folks about, you know, something that changes. It's not maybe every week or every month, but it might be a seasonal thing or something like that. The screen wall behind it, directly behind the pocket parks, we would also have permanent mountings for vertical art, hanging art, where again, you'd say, look, if you want to put a piece of art up here, here's the specifications, do it on this and that, and it'll have certain mounting situations that allow us to mount it to the wall safely and securely so nothing happens to it, but also, again, provide some visual interest for the things that are happening going down there, so it's not just the back wall of a retail center. We've taken a lot of care above there to try to do, as Paul mentioned, it's a 2-story look, and we've got some ideas for up above there that we can do to try to extend that a little further to make it appear active up on that second floor, but second floor in quotes there, I guess. But and again, as we wrap around the back side, we have the second plaza. That one's a little bit more traditional in terms of a retail establishment. It'll have a central park where you have a place where you can, again, sit at benches. There's not really any captive tables out there that are out for everybody else. There's the ones that belong to the restaurants on the retail side, but out there it's more or less just a plaza with plantings on it and an arbor that'll be lit. So it's a lot more casual seating, I think. That's not more of a sit down and eat. That's the more sit and watch the kids play. We tried to create separation of the parking lot so that there was comfort when maybe some moms are having a coffee in the morning and their kids are playing, that they're not going to go running into a parking lot or anything like that. So we've done bollards and we've done planting boxes and things of that nature to kind of create these buffers and these walls to make it seem safe, but not like a prison fence or something like that. So I think that pretty much runs it down. I think the one thing I will say, the total square footage we have for all the plazas totals right around 15,000. There's 11,000 that is sort of the free plaza, if you will, on the two sides. But we also have another 4,500 square feet that are captive that belong to those restaurants. So the total exterior seating and all that stuff's around 15-ish. So.
Thank you. Any questions from the zoning commission for the applicant at this time?
Can I ask a dumb question? The utility corridor, what goes on in the utility corridor?
Well, we're going to have multiple, in the plan is on the building 2 on the right, is the hope is to have a single tenant for it. So when you have a single tenant, you need one back door, you need one place for utilities, all that stuff's a little easier. On the building 1, we could have, you could have anywhere between 4 and 6 tenants in there, and each one of them will have a back door. And then the utilities will have gas service that comes in there. We'll have electrical load center that's back there. And when it's one tenant, it's one thing to see it, and quite frankly, it still looks bad if you're facing onto the Beachmont side. But this allows us to put, like I said, a bank of electrical equipment, a manifold of gas service, and this is where they'll wheel out and go to get take the trash to the dumpster and wheel it back in, so you're not looking at those back doors.
Thank you.
Question?
In the lighting plan, are you looking to bring that into compliance?
Yeah, we have no problem with any of the exceptions that were in there. We can take that. It was a little bit by the handicap ramp or something, Paul, wasn't it? And we're happy to make adjustments for that, yeah. And anywhere else, yeah.
So we can assume, since you didn't object, that you're agreeable to the parking lot redesign?
That's correct. We actually have, and we reviewed it a little bit informally before the meeting, we do have a solution for that, which I think we're kind of on the same page with, but yeah, we're fine with that completely. It basically eliminates the 2 western cuts and leaves us with a single one that's closest to the building.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
At this point, we're going to go ahead and open up the meeting to public comment. I want to repeat, since a couple folks came in before I swore others in, we are swearing in those that testify tonight. And so if anybody that has not been sworn in and would like to testify, raise your hand so I know now who you are. Sir, if you'll please stand and just answer as I finish the statement. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you, sir. So what we're going to do before we get started with the public comment, I want to remind everyone, first we'll hear from those that might be here tonight in support of the application, then those that might oppose the application's compliance. I want to remind everybody that really tonight is to receive evidence. So this is a hearing. We're not here to hear about opinions and questions of the applicant. Please focus all your remarks to the Zoning Commission. And then at the end of any remarks that might be in opposition of compliance with the zoning requirements, any remarks that were made by anyone in opposition will give the applicant a chance to rebut any of those kind of statements. So with that, we'll go ahead and start with anybody that might want to speak in support of the application. Please come on up to the podium. Once, twice. Okay, seeing no one, then at this time, anybody that is opposed to this application, please come on up, give us your name, your address, and your affiliation to the case, and then we'll go one after the other. Thank you.
Hi.
Sir, hi.
I'm Tim Ritter. I live on Wolfangle Road, 1252 Wolfangle Road, right across the street from this proposed development.
Yes, sir.
As you well know, I have opposed Phase 1, and Phase 2 continues to exhibit problems. My concern would be liquor sales at any one of these 3 establishments on the corner caps. I'm seeing that 8,000 square foot building as a proposed Fridays. So the reason that we have a 30-foot setback is to keep that kind of activity away from our neighborhood. This road, Wolfangle, is a primary entrance for children walking home from Anderson High School. And on a Friday night after the game, 30 or 40 kids, including his kid and my kid, will walk right down that street. And if 8 feet from the street, they're smoking, drinking, it's a poor example for our kids. Moreover, the gentleman talked about families and kids playing in that proposed pit. Is that to be those tables directly adjoining the liquor sales? So we'll have kids playing in the pit and adults drinking wine 5 feet away, smoking cigarettes, drinking margaritas.
Yes, sir, if I can remind you, facts, not
Facts.
opinions.
The fact is, we have a zoning variance for a 30-foot setback. To modify that in a location that is probable to have alcohol sales, if not immediately, eventually, will be a detriment to our community.
Thank you. Others that were sworn in would like to testify at this time? Anybody else? If the applicant would like, you can rebut those comments, but it's your call.
Yeah, I can't speak to the lease, who we're going to lease to or anything like that, so I don't think right now we have anything to respond to that one.
Thank you. Last call. Anybody else want to testify at this time? Okay, seeing no additional individuals, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and open it up to conversation of the board. We have a recommendation from the staff for approval. That's on the back of the staff report. This does include 2 variances, so in any motion on this case, make sure that we include the variances in that motion. So any comments or questions of the zoning commission to each other at this time? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Sir?
I have a question to Mr. Ritter's comment. I generally operate my own, day-to-day life on evidence, and so my question is there evidence in city planning and these kind of things on distance from the road and liquor sales and how far people wander away from where they're drinking and eating? And
I'm not aware of any. In this particular corner, the property across the street is actually zoned retail. The residence zoning doesn't start until you can see it on the actual site plan.
yeah, I'm familiar with the area. I guess my question is,
But-
if the restaurant's 30 feet back versus less than 30
No.
feet back, is there any
No.
sort of study and evidence that that's going to make a difference?
No, actually, our downtown plan encourages buildings to come closer to the road than 30 feet, so that's what we're going off of, the
Okay.
placement of the building, not necessarily a restaurant or any place that sells liquor is permitted in the retail zoning district anywhere in the township, so as long as they get all their other licenses from the states that regulate that.
Sure.
Anything else, Mr. Anderson?
No.
Okay, questions? Ms. Cook?
No, I don't.
Questions,
have any
comments?
Questions. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the final development plan for case 4-2014 with the 4 recommended conditions on the staff report, in addition to the approval of the 2 variances for setbacks.
Okay. We have a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Mr. Anderson, roll call?
Ms. Cook?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Badgett?
Yes.
Mr. Benson?
Yes. Thank you. That completes the business before the zoning commission tonight. Paul, anything else you want to add at this time?
Not at this time. I don't know yet about a June meeting, so I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Motion,
adjourn.
second? Yes, second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.